What music they make.
Sejam bem-vindos a mais um podcast de Metal Global. Hoje a conversa é com os Venom, na pessoa do guitarrista Rage, para contar tudo sobre a novidade Into Oblivion. Já sabem que tem a versão rádio deste programa, exclusivo na RTP Play. É passar por lá e procurar por Metal Global. Ora bem, os Venom não precisam de apresentações e 45 anos depois do seu nascimento em Newcastle continuam a provar que não perderam nada do veneno original. A banda que abriu caminho ao metal extremo e inventou o black metal está de volta com Into Oblivion, o 16º álbum de estúdio. É o primeiro registo com nova música desde Storm the Gates, que foi editado em 2018 e conta com a formação que já conhecemos bem. Cronos no baixo e voz, Rage na guitarra e Dante na bateria. Para falar sobre isto tudo, estive à conversa com Rage dos Venom.
You can now.
I can now, yes.
If you wish that you hadn't, you'll go, can you put yourself back on mute?
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Everything is good. Are you anxious to hear about what people have to say about Into Oblivion?
Yes. Well, they've got to like it, otherwise we'll come around to their houses and we'll eat all their food and not flush their toilets properly.
And, let's go straight into the record, so to say. This album took a while to be finished. Guide me through that process. Why did it take? There was a pandemic, obviously, in between. But lead me a bit to the process of this songwriting and try to finish these records.
Yeah. Well, there was a COVID to start with, and then getting back to doing gigs, and then the biggest thing was a thing called having a life. We all have lives, and lives get in the way of things. I've just said in previous interviews, to be brutally honest, this is when it needed to come out, because it just did. If it had come out earlier, we might have been with a different record label. The songs might not have been finished. I wouldn't have get to meet you, Yeah. So the universe works in mysterious ways. So basically, during lockdown, we did have a couple of songs left over from the previous album, Storm the Gates, that sort of we couldn't get them to work properly. But then lockdown hit, so we were all recording separately, and the songs were really good. Some of the songs we kept, bits of them, but the major thing was we weren't together when we were coming up with them and playing them, and that just seemed to be lacking a little bit. We enjoy playing together, we enjoy jamming together, doing different things, most of which people will never hear. Yeah. But we were missing that little spark of playing in a band, because if you've got someone who's just come up with a song, you've got other people trying to learn how to play it, and then the sort of you miss out putting new bits in and stuff like that. So we pretty much decided that some of the songs were just a little bit throwaway. We'll take bits out of them. We'll keep bits, but let's make an album that's really special. The last ones that we've been doing as me, Cronos and Dante have been really good and well received. So let's not just settle for second best, and let's try and push ourselves. Every album we've tried to push ourselves. We did the song Smoke, which was a little bit different than what Venom fans were used to, and they really liked that. So personally, when I was writing songs, I thought I'm going to try and push that a little bit more, and I know Cronos did. Some of the vocals on the album are very different to what's happened in the past. He's flexing his vocals, showing them that he's not just a growler. He can sing as well.
Yeah.
But it gave me time to get my studio sorted out. I had a sort of a basic studio, but lockdown meant I could sit and get a lot of equipment in that I really needed to do what I wanted to do. And that's worked because it's just been so much easier to record now. You know, we can go off and we sort of got the bare bones of it, but we can go and do overdubs and stuff like that, and we're not beheld to being in a studio and spending money because we don't like spending money at all. It's bad.
You know, one of the things about Venom, and I think you kind of, you know, touching the topic a bit. For me, I remember Venom were not a very technical band, you know, from the early days. But the last albums shows a band that can actually play. And I know that irritates a lot of old school fans, but I actually enjoy quite a lot listening to the latest records. And I know it's a blasphemy saying that sounds better than, you know, Welcome to Hell or black metal, but I'm going to say it. They sound better. They sound like a band that can play. And, you know, I think it's great to see a band like with such a legacy that Venom has actually evolving and improving by the record. And I'm sure it would be fine to get a deck tape and just record something really bad that some old school fans would say that's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
But
you thought, it is difficult, and that's why we've been together for so long. I mean, I've been in the band 20 years now. The lineup's been together for 17, and that's because we all want to progress. I mean, the major thing for me is I never want a Venom fan to be standing there and say, "Oh, I love Venom," and other fans have a go at them for, you know, saying it's just noise or stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, we take playing our instruments very, very serious, and I don't see why Venom can't be in with those other bands that are technical players and stuff like that. And it would be just very boring. Like you say, it wouldn't take 8 years to record an album if we were recording it on a tape deck. And the fans would love it. But no, I think the fan base changes as well. I mean, there is the people who have been there from the start, and I love them to bits. And thank you very much for being there from the start. But it's you want to get other younger fans in. You want to get other people in. There's a lot of fans who come now, and because of social media, you're very accessible with fans now, and the amount of like younger fans who get in touch. And you know, the albums that I played on was the first Venom albums I ever bought. You know, and that as a fan, you can't judge a band because, you know, there's people who weren't born when black metal came out and who love from the very depths more than that. You can't have a go at them. You know, that's not right. You know, you everybody, we're all in this together. You know, there's so many songs that you know, we don't need to fight. Some people like this, some people like that. Absolutely, it's all good. It's all Venom. It's all brilliant. But that's one of the reasons why we've stayed together so long, because we all try to push each other. I mean, this album, I think every bit that somebody's done's pushed another member of the band to try something different, to be better than, you know, that they've done in the past. And, you know, that's why it's a really refreshing album. It's got the classic vibe of Venom, but I think it's sort of dragging Venom kicking and screaming, you know, into the modern world. Yeah,
but because I think it would be easier, you know, in this day and age. If you want to be lazy, you guys have a name. You could be a legacy band, you know, and just play black metal and Welcome to Hell. Do those special shows that people love, you know, and probably make some more money. I don't know if they would make much more or not, but you could do that. But instead, you guys chose the way of keep making new music, keep evolving, keep improving. And, you know, Into Oblivion, it's a very good record. And I think it's night and day compared to Welcome to Hell and black metal. And I mean, everything, music-wise, like inspiration-wise, it feels, I don't know. I know it's a blasphemy saying that, but this feels like more like a group effort, and than anything, I don't mind those black metal bands that have like a very noisy sound. I can listen to that, but I appreciate when I see a band trying to, they could rest on their laurels, but instead it's like you have still something to prove, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, you've just said the perfect thing. You feel, and that's what's important. That's how you feel, and how you want to, describe things, and that's good. If people feel a different way, then that's fine. You shouldn't stop people feeling. I mean, I get a bit upset when there's like bands who go, we're not going to record anything new because nobody wants to listen to it, and they just want to listen to the old stuff. That's not why you got in a band. You got in a band because you loved music and you thought you could do something better. You wanted to push the music that you were listening to into new territories. It's art. It's you can't paint the Mona Lisa every week. It would just, do you imagine that if like Van Gogh just painted just one the same sunflower over and over again? People would be like, and no, it's pushing, it's something inside you that you need to get out. And getting that out's the hard bit, but once it's out, it's really weird, because when we finished the album off and we all had like mixes of the album, nobody had ever heard it. It was just me, Cronos, Dante, and the guy who mixed it. And it felt like being in a little gang, because nobody had heard it. And I knew that one day it was going to get released, because once it's released, it's sort of, you've give up a little bit of the ownership. It's up to yourself and the fans to judge it and listen to it and like it and love it. And it's sort of not yours anymore. It's like, and that's the weird bit. But with social media now, you get to find out straight away. That's the biggest thing for me, social media. I was brought up in the 1970s. We did not have social media.
No internet.
no internet. No, we had libraries and things like that. And now you've got to play the game. And you've got to be part of it. That's where all the sort of promotion and everything. And in one respect, it's great because I get to speak to you and we get to have a chat and stuff like that. But then it's very instantly you find out like what people think of the album, and it's like it's hard nowadays because the internet and social media. There's a lot of people who are record critics. They log on and then they go, "Oh, I'm now a journalist." And I can tell everybody what is right and what's wrong with this album and stuff, and it's so wading through that's quite hard. But it's just feel. You've just got to feel it. Just go. That's what I did. I mean, I bought albums that made me feel good. That was what I like listening to.
That's the thing. For me, sorry to interrupt, but for me, I don't consider myself a journalist, even though I've been doing this for over 25 years. And I stopped reviewing albums because I realize it's such a personal thing. Because normally if I like the album, I like it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. And I'm not going to write a review saying that I really like this record or I really don't like this record. It doesn't. It's just silly to do something like that. It's so personal. I admire, if there's a musician, if there's someone with a musical background that can go into some details of, especially when it comes to prog bands and stuff like that, where there's more technical parts. I admire when they can actually, pinpoint to what's happening. For me, I don't care if you're playing a Phrygian scale or D minor, whatever, notes there is and scales. If it sounds good, it sounds good. I remember listening to Jimi Hendrix live, and he had some like notes that were just wrong, but it came from the heart. He was playing live, and that's what made sometimes those recording specials were the little mistakes that he made. You know, it's not about perfection. It's, you know, it's about feeling, and music for me, it's feeling more than anything else.
It's living in the moment, isn't it? It's, that's the thing with live. I mean, you know, there's that you can. What do you want to do? Do you want to stand there and play everything perfect, or would you rather jump around? We're musicians, but we're also entertainers. Yep. People pay a lot of money nowadays to go and see a band. You've got to entertain people. You know, you can all stand there and go, "God, that sounds exactly like the album," but what have you got on it? I always see gigs as a meeting between like-minded people. It's almost like the Church of Heavy Metal. You know, you go in there and you're all getting in, and bum notes. I've got live albums, and I've got the studio albums with bum notes on and stuff like that. And that's when you're a musician, when to know to leave things in and just let it go. Yeah. And like in the moment, there'll be stuff on the album where I sit and go, oh, but it was in that moment in time. That's what felt right, and that's what felt like it was fitting with the music. And like you say, it might not technically be correct. We call it jazz notes. Yeah. there's a bit on at the end of the album once when Holy Mother finishes, and then I shout, oh, there's a few jazz notes there. And sometimes jazz notes are the greatest things in the world to do in film. People go, oh, you are so clever. And it's like, no, I just played the wrong thing.
No, but that's, you know, the thing about music, obviously, you know, when you learn to play an instrument, you kind of understand when a note goes wrong or not. But is it really there a wrong note that you play? I mean, in a context, yes, but in general, no. It's, you know, everything, it's part of something. I'm sure that wrong note will lead to something that it's more beautiful or more meaningful, you know?
See, it's the vibe. Again, there's a couple of bits where, you know, I might not hit the note quite perfect, but there's some sort of weird fury in the bending of the note. That's sort of like right at the end of the song, and it's like that it has to stay in because it's like gritty and you can hear it, and it's like you can hear the string rubbing against the wood, and it's like that makes it sound like it's actually real. It's not like, you know, some weird sort of AI thing, you know?
The problem with AI, everything sounds so, you know, perfect that it loses the human side of things. That, I mean, that's what makes music special. It's the human side. I mean, you know, I'm not going to criticize anyone that wants to use AI. If they want, if they feel great about it, good for them, it's fine. I like the human side of music. It's just, again, it's something that I cannot explain. It's something that when you hear it, you feel it, and that's it. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel happy, enraged, or angry, whatever it is. That's what music is about, you know, for me. And that's why I don't do reviews anyway. That's why I don't. And, you know, just going back to the record, the first single, Lay Down Your Soul, do you think that was the perfect song to introduce this record? Or do you feel there is like another song or two that might be more, you know, let's say that Venom fans would appreciate more?
I think if you look, I think because of the time scale between this album and the last one, if it had been a short, I think it might have been, there was 3 songs, there's 2 more going to come out, and any of them could have gone first, but I think it's a bit tongue-in-cheek. It's a bit, it's teacher's pet, it's having a laugh. I mean, we understand what the song means, and we understand what the song means to us, and it's got some little Easter eggs in there, you know, it mentions witching hour, and, you know, it's God rock and roll, not God's rock and roll. And we're very aware of that. I think some people might have taken it a little bit too serious, but I think for the first album for Venom for a while, I think, it's good. It's sort of saying this is Venom. and it's us having a little nod and a little wink and stuff like that. And I think there was going to be the people who got wound up and who take things far too serious. We knew what they were going to do, and I think that probably said, yeah, let's definitely do it. How can we annoy the people who are annoyed even more? This is what we're going to do.
But the thing about Venom, the band was always tongue-in-cheek. There was always they had a sense of humor that I don't think a lot of fans realize the band has. And they take, I think, the music and everything so serious. And when you listen and when you read the lyrics, it's, there is like nuances there that, it's not to take so seriously. It's not, I don't know. It's just some people, they take, it's like gospel. The word that's written is gospel, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, singing about Satan and stuff like that. I mean, the devil has a sense of humor as well. You know what I mean? Otherwise, we wouldn't have platypuses.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just having. I mean, kicked out of hell. I mean, even that one. It's literally about being more evil than the devil, and the devil kicks you out of hell because you're so evil, and that's tongue in cheek, but played very, the riffs are serious and stuff. And there's always been a sense of humor. Teacher's Pet, FOAD, stuff like that. And I think a lot of bands had a sense of humor, and that suddenly got lost because music suddenly become a commodity.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, we can't joke because it's very serious and we all need to make money out of this. And a lot of bands could just do with just having a bit of a laugh and a bit of smiling, There's nothing more evil than a Satanist having a laugh.
But, that's what music should be about. Just have fun, and sometimes, you see bands that seem to be doing, they seem to keep going just because they have to make money and not because they're having fun or enjoying what they're doing. And it's kind of sad part of the industry when it becomes really an industry and not, just for you to enjoy and have fun. I mean, obviously it's important to make money. I mean, who doesn't want to make money? Yeah. But you need to enjoy what you're doing, and when it's become like mandatory to do certain things in a certain way, it kind of loses the fun. It's something like as any job, if you're not having fun doing it, why the hell you're doing it? Because you need the money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've been offered some, there was like a few years ago where there was this sort of play your classic albums and stuff, and we were offered some of them like that, and we were like, why? There's some songs on them albums that were never supposed to play live. The album tracks, they're not live tracks. They don't get people up moving and grooving. They were just songs out on an album. They're good songs, but they're not supposed to be played live. But then you saw all these bands doing classic albums and promoting. There were that because there was no gigs after lockdown and people were short of money and were scrambling. It was like all these bands were like, yeah, we'll do that, and it was just like, you why? Like, why? Just everybody say no, and these promoters won't have bands to play. But there was just this weird, and we got offered some, and it was like, so we can't play any new songs. Like, why would we want to do that? Why do we want to be stuck in the 80s? It's like, 3/4 of the fans probably weren't even born in the 80s when that came out. But it's just like money again. Oh, well, if you do this, I'll get more people to the gig than if and it's just like, nah. We're all supposed to work together.
Yeah.
It should be some big, homogenous, like mutual things. The fans get to see great bands, the promoter gets to make some money, the bands get to make money, and then we just do it again, and then we just like that. But it's just everybody's just fighting for everything.
Yeah.
And we're moving away from what music and art was all about, which was just making people forget that they were going to work.
Yeah, but
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's the thing. In the music industry these days, I don't think a lot of people realize that you have the agents that push certain bands that they want to push, to make them headline festivals. And sometimes you look at those bands, you're like, are they really headline material yet? Why they pushing and asking for this stupid amount of money? And, again, it's a business. I understand. It's fine. But, you see certain things, and I work with promoters sometimes, and it's a side of the business that I don't like to deal with.
It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. I mean, you could go, right, this band, we want them to be the biggest band in the world. If fans don't like them, you are never going to. They're never going to be big. I mean, look at some of these bands now who feel really manufactured, and people say, "Oh, have you heard this band? Listen to them." And I'm like, I don't like it. I don't get it, and it's like the kids have been told, there's some bands who you use, and I'm not meaning Slipknot or anything like that. There's some bands coming out with masks on and stuff, and and it's like it's very clearly like people, singers who have worked in the music business for years and who have just had a plastic mask stuck on the face, and now they're the next big thing, and certain record companies are pushing them and sort of manufacturing this sort of thing with the fans, and it's ripping fans off, because it's not, these bands didn't, certain, I don't want to say the name of the band, I'm trying not to. They didn't tour in vans, you know what I mean? They didn't do this and didn't do that. They were pop musicians who, when they got too old to be cute little teeny boys, they push them. All right, we'll make them into heavy metal stars, and like everybody will love them, and we'll just push and push and push, and it's just like that ain't right. Bands, every band who I liked worked their way to get where they needed to be. Yeah,
that's the thing. Sometimes you have bands that never played Portugal, for instance, and there's a lot of cases, and they want to bring the band to Portugal, but they want them to headline a festival or co-headline, and we're like, okay, but we're talking about a stadium or a big arena, and they never played a club show in Portugal. How can we justify bringing a band if they never prove themselves here first, and now you want them to co-headline a festival? Are you crazy? What's happening? Where is the groundwork? Prove yourself first. Sell out a club show. Okay, great. You sell out a club show. Let's try a bigger venue, 3,000, 4,000. You can feel it. Okay, now we know that you guys are growing. You have a fan base. So let's, next time we'll bring you to a bigger festival, bigger venue, whatever it is. And that's kind of lost art these days. You've got to like sort of earn your stripes and stuff. And I think that's why the bands that I respect, the likes of Cannibal Corpse and stuff like that, I mean, they're just the same, they've worked hard, and they know they're not going to take it makes you not take your foot off the pedal. Yeah. You never know what's around the corner. Just keep going. Just keep going. Be humble, be respectful, go up and do play to the best that you can, and just keep on going, next gig and stuff like that. And like you say, these bands who are just, it's just, heavy metal was never about that, Heavy metal was never about manufacture bands, but it's just cool, isn't it? Because part of it's because heavy metal fans buy T-shirts, buy product, buy albums. You might get some who download and stuff, but the majority of people buy CDs, buy albums, buy the T-shirts, stuff like that. And people see that and they go, let's jump onto that bandwagon and just try and milk that. Yeah, people will see through it'll not last for long. It's just it can't sustain itself. Yeah, I'm a firm believer that you can smell the bullshit and you can see it when it's not real. And when I mean real, I mean it's not an honest thing they're making, musically. It's, I understand there's people for every kind of taste. They can I'm fine with it, but I enjoy. I'm old anyway, so I grew up in a different era. I grew up with listening to Deep Purple, Hendrix, Queen, proper bands that could play and sing and all that stuff. And when you get used to seeing those bands and how they performed, you want the newer bands to be a bit like that, or try to be like that, be real. And when they're not, I understand the new generation, it's different. They're, good for them. They grew up without having any issues or problems. An easier life. It's great, I don't want them to suffer the way we suffer, in the late 70s and early 80s. But, music, it is what it is. And just going back quick to Into Oblivion, you remember what was the first song that you guys finished for the album?
I wanted to say Death the Leveler, because it was quite straightforward. I think that was the one that didn't need much tweaking. I think that was pretty much start to finish. The other ones were a little bit more progressive, so they needed a little bit. Things were moved around a lot more just to fit in and maybe try different things. But I think Death the Leveler, because it's just straight in your face.
It was a song that I liked it from the album.
Try to put a little bit of Thin Lizzy in the middle of it just to make it a little bit.
And just wrap it up. The album comes out in May. What are the touring plans? Festival season. Guys.
Yeah, we're signing off a couple of festivals as we speak. And then we were planning on going back down to South America, but obviously things have changed over there slightly. It's a bit of a weird world at the minute, isn't it?
It's crazy.
It's very crazy. So things are a little bit funky, but I think we're just gonna try and get some festivals sorted, and then we'll see what happens. I mean, it's at the minute it's just obviously with interviews, and BMG Miles has been amazing, very proactive, pushing, very responsive. He's an old school metal fan, Noise, the old Noise label coming back. It's absolutely awesome. It feels like something new, and obviously using Venom as a launch pad is absolutely amazing. So getting through interviews and the album coming out first, I think that's my main bit. I mean, I've already started writing for the next album.
You already have ideas.
I've got some very strange ideas. We'll see how they get knocked out.
Very good. Right, Stuart, thank you very much for your time. All the best for Venom. Into Oblivion, great records. As I said, it's great to see that you guys are evolving, keep playing better. It's always good when a band plays better. Nothing against, again, the early records, but it's great to see that you guys keep evolving and keep making great music. Thank you very much for your time. Hopefully we'll see you guys back in Portugal soon. So,
yes, it's been a while.
Yeah.
You need to have a word with people, because we've some of the best gigs I've ever played have been in Portugal.
Yeah, we have a crazy fan base. You got those old school ones that just want to listen to.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's good. We can play old school till their ears bleed.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for your time. Awesome. Have a great day. Hope to see you guys soon. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye. Metal Global foi conversa com o Rage dos Venom para contar tudo sobre a novidade Into Oblivion. E assim chega ao final deste podcast. Já sabem, tem a versão rádio exclusiva na RTP Play. A passar por lá e a procurar por Metal Global. Dúvidas ou sugestões? É enviar e-mail jorge.botas@rtp.pt. Visitem o site metalglobal.pt e podem me seguir no Twitter e Instagram @mountainking. Se estão a ouvir em Apple Podcasts, Spotify ou YouTube Music, subscrevam para não perder nenhum episódio. Eu volto no próximo programa. Um forte abraço.
Children of the night, you will live through the centuries to come, as I have lived. Good night. Good night.